Good morning, Jonathan. Can you hear me? You can unmute. Oh, you are unmuted. Where are you? Give me a second. I'll figure this out. Check, 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 check. Hey, Jonathan.
I can hear you. I got a crazy echo.
Check, 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 check. Check. Test. Test, 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 test. Test, 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 test.
All right. But we do have a special guest today. Everybody knows Norm Schimmel. He's the one taking pictures every month for years and years, a longtime Tiger Bay member and supporter, and he'd like to speak to you for a few minutes about a community event. Norm?
Thank you, Morgan, and thank you, Kim, very, very much. About 12 years ago, my wife and I, along with the SPD, the city, the county, first responders, established a 9/11 memorial ceremony. The ceremony takes place every year. On the 5-year anniversaries, Chaplain Pfaff and his group join in, and we have a major memorial ceremony at the Sarasota National Cemetery in the beautiful Patriots Point. I'm here to tell you that it's been 20 years. I lived 39 blocks from the towers for 40 years. This coming Saturday, September the 11th, not this Saturday, the coming Saturday, September the 11th, from 6 to 7:30 at the Sarasota National Cemetery, we will have a memorial ceremony. It was, the last one we had was 2016. There we do it every 5 years. It was memorable. ABC will be there. But I think you would really enjoy all the things that will happen there, including the music and all the memorials. On the door back here, we have a QR code, and as you're leaving, all you have to do, if you'd like to get more information on it, is take a picture of the QR code. I must tell you two things. It is free. The parking is free, the admission is free, and I think you'll have an experience, as I'm told, from 2016 that you will talk about. So we rise, but we never forget, and God bless America.
Thanks, Norm. That is terrific. I can't believe it's been 20 years, frankly. That's amazing. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started because we are 5 minutes past the hour, and we want to make sure everyone gets in and out on time. So let's bring our panelists up. Come on down, for those of you who remember The Price is Right. I think it's still on TV, right? Does anyone know? Does anyone watch The Price is Right? No? All right, good. Wendy Deming informs me, do you not work during the day? Is that what goes on? You got that morning off? You're like, okay, good. All right. So we are, let me do some introductions. Jonathan Lewis was appointed county. This is going to be awesome. All right, I'm going to fill in while we fix whatever that is. Or this is going to be a great, memorable. Lewis and his wife have 2 children. Jonathan and his wife have 2 children and have lived in Sarasota County since May of 2011. He was appointed county administrator in January of 2018. Before his appointment as county administrator, he was employed by the city of Northport, where he served as city manager. So you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You can do both. You just talk for them. From May of 2011 till April of 2017, he served as deputy city manager for Palm Bay, Florida, from August 4th till May of 2011. And he also served as the assistant town manager and assistant to the town manager for the town of Bel Air. Now, is that Bel Air Beach or Bel Air Shores? Which was that?
That's Bel Air.
All right, he is a graduate of the University of South Florida, where he received a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science. He earned a Master of Public Administration from the College of Arts and Science from the University of South Florida as well, and he has completed the Senior Executive in State and Local Government program at Harvard's Kennedy School of Government. Please welcome Jonathan Lewis. Yay! Marlon Brown. I love Marlon's bio because it's just so interesting. This is getting better and better. All right. So, originally from the Twin Islands of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean, Marlon Brown received his bachelor's degree from West Virginia University. There's a switch. Trinidad to West Virginia. Wow. Did you even have a coat? You had to buy one when you got there. And his master's degree from Georgia Tech. Go Yellow Jackets. All right. Who knew? In 1988 and 1989, he served as a management trainee with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey at the now-destroyed World Trade Center complex, apropos. In 1993, Marlon joined the Tallahassee-Leon County Planning Department as a transportation planner, and within a year was in the top position at the Transportation Administrator and Metropolitan Planning Organization Administrator. In 1999, he was appointed as the assistant to the city manager with the city of Tallahassee. This led to his appointment as county administrator for Gadsden County. Raise your hand if you know where Gadsden County is, other than Dan Bailey, who was probably born there. Here, Marlon launched an intensive and highly successful capital improvement effort in the county and was also appointed by Governor Charlie Crist to serve on the State of Florida Blueprint Commission on Juvenile Justice to improve Florida's juvenile justice system. He is currently the city manager for the city of Sarasota. In his free time, he enjoys sports, traveling, exploring our diverse cultural, recreational, and culinary offerings, and spending time with his family. Please welcome Marlon Brown. Ed Loveley. I don't know that you need any introduction. You are a rock of, you have been here before a couple of times. Yes, and have run the city of Venice well for a long time, but he has been the city manager of the city of Venice for coming up on 10 years. He was the city manager of Newport, Rhode Island for 7 years prior to that. He was a police administrator for the Newport Police Department for 17 years before that. No, 27 years before that, right?
27.
Wow. Interim finance director for Newport, criminal justice planner for the state of Connecticut. I'm not going to keep going. University of New Haven master's, University of Connecticut BA in political science, the Mitchell College in life sciences, and also the Harvard University Executive Leadership Institute. He has innumerable adjunct professor positions at a bunch of different colleges. He's been on a whole bunch of boards and commissions. But most importantly, he's been married to Sharon since 1972, and he has 3 sons. Please welcome Ed Loveley. And for those of you who know Tom Harmer, you'll like that this is his bio. Just this part. All it says is, he's been doing this for 35 years. Said, what else do you need? He's been doing it for 35 years, and now he's got the best gig going because he drives over the bridge to Longboat Key every day and deals with whatever goes on Longboat Key, which we'll be talking about. But he does have a master's degree in public administration from the University of Central Florida and is a credentialed city manager through the International City County Management Association. I had to look you up for all that. Please welcome Tom Harmer. All right, that was a lot. All right, so we're going to divide this, speaking of the Price is Right, we're going to make this into kind of a game show today. So we're going to call the first segment the numbers game, and it's going to be kind of quick, like lightning round. And then we're going to have a segment I'm going to call Brag Fest, where you guys get to talk about all the great things you've done. And then I'm going to have a segment called Fail Fest, where you get to own up to what you haven't done well. Be honest, there is the internet. We can always check you out. And then we're going to have some other segments that I'll preview later. But first off, let's just give people an idea of what it is that you're dealing with in terms of the size of the agencies that you're the head of. So, Jonathan, are we good to go? We'll start with you. We want some numbers. We want the number of employees at the county. We want the number of residents in your county. And are you still not live? Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Can you hear me?
Thank you.
That's unpleasant.
City of Venice, give us the number of people in it and the number of employees that you deal with and the size of your budget, if you remember.
Well, the city, first of all, is a floating iceberg because when I came here, it was 16.8 square miles. Now it's hovering around 17 due to continuous annexation. We have about 23,000 residents and 370 employees. Our operating budget at this time is $124 million.
Interesting. All right, Tom, how about you?
All right, Longboat Key, unique that we're in 2 counties, but I'll just talk generally overall. We're about 10.5 miles long, about up to a half mile wide in the widest part. We have 7,500 6,800 residents, actually 7,505 according to the 2020 census. That's up 9% since 2010, which is less than 1% per year in growth because we're pretty built out. And we have about 130 employees in the town.
Gee, Marlon, how about you?
All right, the city of Sarasota is about 57,000 individuals, but I'm going to kind of couch that number because our daytime, what we call our functional population, is about 150,000. You know, we are what I will term the economic engine of Sarasota County in terms of the amount of commercial activity that takes place in and out Sarasota County. Obviously, Sarasota County in of itself does more commercial business than we do. Our budget is about $233 million, made up of, you know, general fund, enterprise funds, so on and so forth. And one little tidbit that I want to share with this esteemed panel and group that's here, for the first time in about, let's say about 15 years, we are going back to what we call the rollback rate in terms of our millage. And so individuals, depending on how much taxes they paid for their properties last year, will be paying the same amount. That value that they have seen over the last year, they're not going to see a tax increase based on that increased value.
All right.
And so for the first time, all individuals will receive what we are hoping would be the same amount of tax or tax decrease from what they paid last year.
Excellent. Breaking news at Tiger Bay. Did you do that just because we invited you?
Yes, I did.
All right. Jonathan, this is the fourth time a charm.
I'm scared to try it. Is it working?
You're good. You're good.
No echo.
You're good. So we're looking for the number of employees, the size of your budget, and the number of citizens under your control. Probably the wrong word. Oh, boy. Try it again.
I can see Tom really well. Tom, you give me a thumbs up.
Yeah.
All right, thumbs up.
There we go.
You're good.
All right, good deal. So Sarasota County, obviously, without any, probably needs any introduction to anybody in the room. We've got about 2,200 employees, about $1.5 billion budget all in. In that, we very proud, we have more than 160 parks, and within the county, almost 34% of the county is in public ownership under that. So that's a little demographic information on the county.
Great. Then you're still talking. What did we miss?
What
all
did
right.
we miss?
Actually, all right. All right. Oh my. So it's kind of funny. Kim and I were sort of nervous about this meeting. We were like, you know, there's something about this meeting. I can't put my finger on it. And we decided about an hour ago that we were just like being ridiculous. And turns out we were right. All right. So I do have one question for you. And I always like, you brought this up last time I saw you speak, and it was interesting. It's the percentage of your agency's contribution to the overall budget of the county. So Tom brought this up last time, and it was a real eye-opening number. And it gets even more eye-opening when you talk about the impact on the school budget versus the number of children on Longboat, but we won't get into that. Tom, what percentage, if you know roughly, does Longboat contribute to that $1.5 billion budget that Jonathan gets to play with?
I don't have the exact percentage, but I want to make sure, is Commissioner Dieter in the room? Because she gets mad every time I talk about this. And, okay, good, I don't see her in the room, but, so Longboat Key, I want to say this from a tax-based standpoint because it's really interesting. We're just a small island across Sarasota Bay. Our tax base is $6.5 billion. That is larger than the city of Venice's tax base. That is larger than the city of Northport's tax base. And so therefore, we are a pretty significant contributor to county government. It's a little less than half the size of Sarasota, if you put it in context, but we send, and that's the entire island. We're split by counties, so a little over 4 billion of that is, almost 4.5 billion is in Sarasota County. But we send $13.5 million to Sarasota County every year willingly. But it's, we don't ask for a lot. We don't have any real county services on the island. We also, though, send 11.2 million to Manatee County. So between the two, it's almost $25 million in general county government revenue that comes off the island. You said you weren't going to go to schools, but it's more interesting. Between the two counties' school districts, we send 43.4 million to the schools, and we have 70 students on the island. And so, but what I will say, our residents overwhelmingly vote in support of school board initiatives on the ballot. So they regularly, knowingly contribute in support to local education and to county government.
Interesting. Yeah, that school one's really interesting. And apparently, most of them are in Manatee County also. So it's like some even bigger split. Okay. So I want to talk about things that we haven't seen you guys in a couple of years. And I want to talk about things that you can brag about, things you can feather in your cap, so to speak, of things that you've accomplished in the last couple of years. And Jonathan, I guess we'll start with you, if you're still there. We're looking for things you've done well, things that the citizens should be happy about.
I'm almost terrified to speak in fear of the echo.
So are we.
So I think it would be hard to talk about any of the efforts of the county staff, those 2,200 employees, if you didn't talk about over the past couple of years, how they've responded to the COVID crisis, not just COVID, because for us, that also meant coordinating with the health department on vaccination and CARES Act dollars and emergency rental dollars, making sure that we did our best to coordinate with municipalities, and thankfully they've been great partners through this. But I really think when you look at the demographic numbers of who's gotten vaccinated in Sarasota County compared to other counties in the state of Florida, I think the entire county should brag on itself, because proportionally we do very well when stacked up with the rest of the state. And we've done that by education and encouragement and just asking people to be smart and use their best judgment. And I think when you look at the numbers here in Sarasota County, even though it's still been very, very hard, I think our residents and our community as a whole really should brag about that.
Good point. Marlon.
It is hard to brag about the accomplishments of the city of Sarasota, especially when you have somebody like Pat Robinson as the deputy city manager. So that's my first brag, is stealing from the police department a very talented, very talented individual, to come and serve as my deputy. But on all seriousness, I have a multitude of individuals, some who are in this room, that I can brag about every day, because it's on their shoulders that I stand on to be able to do what I do on a daily basis. All my department directors, my 750 plus employees, plus the number of part-time employees that make up the city of Sarasota. Many accomplishments. We're able to get Selby moving forward, this year. Jennifer, great job on that. Very proud of that. The Bay Park, getting the Bay Park, on its way. Their first phase, it would probably take them about a year or so, but they're opening that in phases. The Mangrove Bayou Walk has been opened. They're continuing to work towards an implementation agreement with us to open up that first phase, including the Sunset Boardwalk. Everyone believed that during COVID, everything was shut down, but our Development Services Department continued to have, thousands of permits coming through their department to make sure that the business community and the commerce of this community continues to thrive. And so our permit numbers are even more than what it was, pre-COVID. And, that's a testament to the great work. I think Ms. Paniker is in the room somewhere, who's my Development Services Director. But again, it's a testament to their staff continuing to serve this public on their needs on a daily basis. And then obviously most of all, something that I'm a little bit sad to say, that, we had a really good individual to lead our Sarasota Police Department who recently had to resign because of health reasons. But you know what, Morgan and team? That department continually provided the services that they needed to provide on a daily basis, that when you call 911, they respond. And we have an individual who right now, as the interim chief, is taking on that, that mantra and moving the organization above, moving the organization ahead. We instituted body-worn cameras, and that has helped us with a number of investigations that we've had complaints about. That when individuals file a complaint and we showed them the video, they've backed off because the video is now showing truly what has been occurring on the streets. So we have a number of things, a number of initiatives that we're going to continue to proceed on. And I believe in the next probably year or two, you'll see some really good things coming out of the city of Sarasota in terms of successes and in terms of projects. But again, I owe it to the 750 plus employees that provide the service to you and those others every day whose shoulders I stand on.
So you mentioned Pat Robinson. So you guys may not have met Pat. Pat, wave. So you're going to hear a lot about this guy because he's the toughest nut to crack you've ever seen in your life. I had to sit in a meeting with him for 2 days a couple of weeks ago, and the guy on the other side was obnoxious. And so he would go, wah, 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 and Pat would go, no. And he'd go, wah, 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 no. And it was that for 2 days. I'm not kidding. That's right. No, he was terrific. So you've got a star in Pat. Tom, brag on yourself.
Well, like Jonathan and Marlon, we work with teams. We don't do anything ourselves. And so, I would give all the credit to our team. We're a seasonal community too. I did mention this earlier, but we go from that 7,500 to well over 20,000, 21,000, even up to 24,000 during that January through March timeframe. And so sometimes it's hard to recruit employees to come on over because they're not as excited about the roundabouts that you may be.
I like how you snuck that in there, Tom.
I said that as diplomatically as I could with Marlon sitting next to me, but when Morgan said in the beginning that, you've got the best gig, I said I did until the roundabout construction started. And so, we're fortunate. When I went out there 3.5 years ago, we also were able to work with Jonathan, and he shared up to about 10 employees from the county that came out and joined us. And where's Commissioner Dietrich? She's not here, right? Because she's threatened me about that as well. But so we have a really good team. We have a team that's tenured, experienced, and I know the area well because they've either been on Longboat Key a long time or they've come over from Sarasota County and help us. And a number of those are in leadership positions, so some familiarity for me as well, being with the county. But I would say when I left the county, I had some staff tell me, boy, why would you go to Longboat? By Wednesday at lunchtime, you're going to have to put your feet up on the desk and not know what to do. And so I can just tell you, I'm not here to talk about accomplishments, I've been just holding on for the ride because we're in our second red tide. We've been in COVID for 18 months. We're undergrounding everything on the island. It's a $49 million project. And so when you dig up everyone's yard on the island, they don't get that excited about it. Where's Jack Brill? He was complaining about his dog falling in a hole out front of his house last week. Because they removed the former pole from his house and maybe forgot to put a cone there. But when you tear up the entire island over a 3.5-year period, you don't have a lot of friends associated with that. So the undergrounding is a big deal. We're just completing a complete renourishment of our beaches, 1 million cubic yards of sand put down and the construction of 5 new groins just between April and September. We're finishing up the project now. Glad to say that our undergrounding is, so maybe this is an accomplishment for the team, but undergrounding is on schedule and under budget, several $1 million under budget. Our beaches is several $1 million under budget on our nourishment effort and on schedule will be completed this month. And we just opened up a brand new fire station and renovated a second one, and both of those were on schedule and on budget as well. So we even had coyotes a couple times, so it's been a really interesting 3.5 years for me, and I've been as busy as I've been, anywhere. Less resources, but as busy.
So when does that new colony open up?
Well, there's a groundbreaking scheduled for October 25th. It's subject to the commission hearing it on October 6th and 20th.
All right.
If it does get passed and adopted on the 20th, the developer has already scheduled a groundbreaking ceremony, so.
Well, that's optimistic. I like it. All right, Ed, brag on yourself.
Thank you, Morgan. In fairness, full disclosure, you did say to us in a memo that we should be prepared to brag about what we're doing. So I thought about this a lot, actually. So, first of all, thanks for inviting us. The more opportunities we have in public to dispel the rumors and actually tell about really what's going on, the better for us in government. So I thought about how I could relate to the listeners how we measure ourselves. So we have some cornerstones in our government process. One is stability, resiliency, and progress. That's how we measure how well we're doing internally. So for stability, which I would consider in part to be having a sustainable plan, basically being on a path, following the path. It's stable, you have a plan of action, and you try to follow that. You invited me here November 1st, 2012, and essentially asked the same questions. What's going on in Venice? What are you doing? I had been in Venice about 9 months. So I was a newbie, learning my way around, and the things that I spoke to you about, what I had learned, was still in the learning process, was there was a plan to build 5,000 or 6,000 new homes in the northeast part of Venice. Scared some people to death, electrified some others, the prospect of growth, but substantial growth that could change the contour of our city. I told you that we were facing a downtown renovation project. The face of the city needed an uplift. The downtown area is one of the icons of our city, and it needed some help. I talked to you about county partnerships because that was drilled into my head when I got here, that the county and the city need to enjoy a really positive, strong relationship to share resources and have an effective partnership. And then finally, I told you that we're in the midst of an assessment of new hospital services. What's going to happen? Is the local hospital going to upgrade? Is somebody else going to come in? Is the hospital going to move out? So those are 4 things, challenges, issues that I was made aware of, and I shared those with you. 6,000 new homes, ongoing at a fast track. We are issuing certificates of occupancy at a rate of about 350 a year. Downtown restoration. Well, the taxpayers voted in 2016 to give the city $18 million to reconstruct and restore the roads. We finished that project 2 years ago, and part of that, along with some other money, was an $11 million facelift for the downtown area, the business district in Venice. And if you've been there, you realize how beautiful that is. That was a huge success. The county partnerships, they're better and stronger than ever. One of the most visible ones is our relationship with the county staff. They spend their resources and manpower and materials to take care of 12 of our major parks. They also manage the Venice Community Center. We have a partnership to share the landfill that the county owns, and with the Sheriff's Department, we have ongoing partnership with the Police Department, Fire Department, and Utilities Department. Also have interdepartmental contracts and mutual aid services for redundant and protective service for each. Hospital, don't have to tell you about that. In about 2 months, we'll be cutting the ribbon on a new Sarasota hospital, beautiful new facility on Lowell Road. So in terms of sustainability, stability, the 4 things that I'd mentioned 9.5 years ago are ongoing, and we're on track. The second issue is resiliency, the ability to respond to a crisis. Well, we've had a few. We've had 2 red tides of significance since I've been here, the pandemic right now, in that economic growth issue. It's a serious issue that has 2 active sides fighting for and fighting against. The fighting for recognizes the economic benefit of growth, the resiliency that comes from more rooftops, more tax base, a stronger community. But there's a concern about being able to build enough infrastructure and have enough control of traffic, density, and those types of things to counter any adverse impacts. But we're moving forward with that. And with the public involved, we're on a stable path. what it does to, internally to our city, the demand for engineering work, the planning and zoning staffs, and then the building department and utilities. First, just reviewing conceptual plans, then entertaining plan design, site development, and then working to issue permits and have ongoing inspections, final inspections. Some facilities, as many as 40 or 50 inspections during the course of a development. Pretty demanding. But we have maintained a staff and quality of service to our public by adjusting our staff size and our working conditions to keep that service quality up. Finally, progress. I'm not even sure how all this happened, but in all of this, the economic crisis, and I missed most of the bloodletting here between the early 2000s and about 2010 or 11, when our city lost 83 full-time positions, eroded most of the reserve, but we're really in serious trouble, as was most communities. We're struggling to keep a balanced and serviceable economy. Since that time, we have rebuilt our staff. Our tax base has been stable, but with the use of outside funding and amortized costing, we've built a new police station, which is also our new emergency operations center. We're getting ready to cut the ribbon on a new fire station right next to City Hall, Fire Station number 1. We're just getting ready in 2 weeks to cut the ribbon on an expansion of City Hall itself, 5,600 square feet, to add a new building department to better service the community. We took the former police station and rebuilt it into a new Public Works headquarters, and if anybody has been there, you would not know that it wasn't built new from the ground up. We've repaved 70 miles of our local roads, 70% of our local roads, and not a blip in our budget or an impact on the tax base. $30 million worth of improvements to our airport, including completely rebuilding our 2 runways, our taxiways, and now we're doing some of the aprons, and we've built a lot of hangars. So I would say in terms of progress, in the face of a struggling economy, we've done very well. Our stability, I think, speaks for itself, and we have responded effectively to with resiliency to the economic growth challenge, 2 red tide challenges, and the current pandemic. I'll stop there.
Good. I didn't mean it that way. Just one thing you failed at. This is a moment of honesty.
Sure.
This is a safe place. What have you done not
What do you
well?
want me to come up with one?
Yeah, I want something you failed at that you look back, if you had to retire tomorrow, you'd say, I missed that one. That was a swing and a miss.
I won't say this is a failure, but I'll tell you the 2 things that challenge me, and I think probably challenge a lot of our staff. One is communication. And this is, like I mentioned at the beginning here, thank you for inviting us. Because I think it's a challenge and not always successful, especially with a dynamic community and also a significant number of snowbirds, to have honest, accurate conversations with your community to make them aware of what's going on. You know, it's a constant challenge for us, and I give directives to my directors annually to make a number of public appearances. And that is a climb that it's a worthwhile challenge, but it's one that I don't think we ever are going to be 100% successful at. Getting the public fully informed and fully engaged in activities with our city to help us make the right decisions, and also have a confidence level that the decisions we're making are in everybody's best interest. Because like Tom and Marlon and John, I get torpedoes in the mail every once in a while about why did you do this or how this harmed me personally, and you just like to go to these people and sit down and say, let me explain to you the full landscape, and then you can still be mad if you want to, but here's why we do what we do. So I would say that's a challenge. And the other is the growth, and I think it relates to the communication. It's what's in the best interest of our community. 6,000 new homes will add about 30% to our population. It's a significant change in the landscape of the community. And there are many who want to keep it like good old little Venice. I met a gentleman when I first came here who told me, he's an attorney, he's a great friend, now deceased. When he moved to Venice, the population was 434 people. Well, now it's 23,000 plus, with 10,000 people coming in the season. So this has changed. I don't know if I would call it a failure, but it's certainly a major challenge to work with the community to understand the dynamics of a state that promotes influx and benefits financially and operationally from new people coming, but it does change your landscape at the community level, and it is a challenge constantly to get at a community-based understanding and awareness and collective decision-making about what's in our best interest for the future.
Interesting. Tom?
How much time do you have?
Just one, just why you get just one.
In my 35 years, I'll focus just more recently, and maybe I'll just give you 2 or 3 quick ones that, I mean, I think I learn something every single day from someone, whether it's a resident or a commissioner or the staff. And I have this sense of frustration that we all have, that sometimes government has a lot of checks and balances. So one of my failures is I get impatient on how long things take to get done, and you wonder how you might be able to expedite those, and that's sometimes hard to do. And so that's kind of a general thought. But transportation, sorry, not necessarily roundabout, but
Oh, we're getting the roundabouts.
2
don't
years
you worry.
ago, you know, we had a lot of transportation congestion issues on the island. So bad that our tax base went down in the Sarasota County side about 3%. So when the cities and the county are talking about theirs went up 6% or 12% or 10%, Longboat Key last year went down on the Sarasota side 2.8 some percent. And we hired a consultant to say why, and he said traffic was a primary factor, and some of it was age of product of condos, but we had a bad year with traffic, and now we're really nervous about the next bad year. But one of the things that I think I failed in and didn't perceive the need to maybe try to coordinate better with the county, city, FDOT, and on the north end as well with Bradenton Beach and Manatee County, because that particular year, there were like 5 or 6 projects all going on at the same time. And they're happening during season, or leading into season, or in the middle of season. And so that like compounded all the things. So I take some burden to say, boy, why didn't I think of that? And why didn't we sooner try to facilitate discussions between all those agencies to try and encourage them as the island? Because all the traffic on the island is not anything to do with the island. We have one road. You know, it's a state road, but it's when you try to leave the island on either end. And so I think I could have done a better job as the town manager to try and force or facilitate discussion about what everyone was doing, so we could try and encourage people to schedule at different times. And so that's one, and I'll give you one more that's still a failure to me. We've been trying for the last couple of years to get Manatee and Sarasota County to offer the same level of transit service on the island. We're one town, one island, and Manatee provides a different level of bus service than Sarasota County does. Manatee requires a 24-hour in advance call before you can have a bus show up. And then Sarasota County just transitioned to this new mobility on demand, which is almost like an Uber. And it's a short duration, but they don't go into each other's territories. So you can't take a bus from one end of the island to the other. And they both have unique services. It offers benefit to the island, but it's just different. And I've been trying for a couple of years now to encourage one level of service on the island, and I just haven't been able to figure that out. Now, I can keep going. I've got a lot
No,
of-
we'll, and of course, it would help if Jack Brill would keep his dog in a leash, right? So it
Yeah.
would run out in traffic. But
Yeah.
Marlon, I know your answer is roundabouts, so let's talk about roundabouts.
So,
What
so
the
Morgan,
heck?
Are you answering for me?
I am. No, I'll let you answer, and then I'll tell you what the real answer is. Go ahead. What's your failure?
So, there are a number, obviously, in the city of Sarasota, and I think, from my perspective, it's really truly ability, kind of like what Ed and Tom mentioned, is how we communicate, with our constituents. Everyone believes that there is a solution to homelessness, and we know, some people bandy around the term, housing and permanent housing, but if everyone understands, homelessness is a hard nut to really crack and hard to solve. And someone who wakes up in the morning, whether they live downtown or whether they live in one of the neighborhoods, and they see someone who obviously is, on their last end, they always would like the city to react in some way, form, or fashion to do away with homelessness. And, ladies and gentlemen, I have a headline for you: homelessness is not going away. However, in terms of how we deal with it and how we respond to it, we're going to continue to our best to provide the services, to provide those individuals the access to those services, to promote, permanent housing or some type of solution to it, but homelessness is not going away, and how we communicate that is going to be the most difficult task that I see, not only as a city, but as a city manager. Right now, many of you may hear about our conundrum about noise downtown. And, you know, what is our downtown turning into? Is it going to become another South Beach? Is it going to become, a suburb, a gated community? And that is one that ever since I was the deputy city manager to now being the city manager that we've been dealing with, is how to deal and balance the issue of a vibrant downtown with individuals who are moving and expecting some enjoyment of peace at night. And those are the things that, obviously with our existing codes, we can't really truly resolve until we have sort of a collective discussion at the policy level in terms of how we're going to deal with that issue. And then on a personal note, being elevated to the top position, you start to lose friends. And one of the things that I think I have really failed to really, take or pay attention to are really my department directors. And when I say that is that, once you get into this top position, there's so many things that you're trying to accomplish that sometimes you forget about those who support you. And the good thing about it is that I have a really good relationship with those individuals, and, they are not afraid to come to me and say, Marlon, you used to be one person when you were deputy city manager. Now that you're the city manager, you seem to be a different person. And really, truly taking the time to listen to them, to make sure that, the things that we're trying to accomplish, that I take sort of their sort of, for lack of a better word, their work-life balance into consideration. I need to do a better job of that. I need to do a better job of being sensitive to their needs and being adjustable. And just remember that where I came from, I was once in their shoes, and just remembering that as we move this city forward. And so that's just
Good.
no
Jonathan.
roundabouts here.
Yeah, we'll get back to that. Jonathan.
Morgan, I would be remiss if I did, since Ed brought up the November of 2012 panel we had. Ed and I were both on that panel, and they were the three guys with me at the time were all teasing me about how much younger I was than they were. And that's when I pointed out to them that I was also the only one on the panel with hair, a full head of hair. Y'all can do with that what you want, given the rest of the panel today. But some things change, some things don't, I think. As far as failures, I mean, Ed touched on the main topic I wanted to talk on, slightly different slant, which is communication. We have 2,200 employees just on the board side of the county that are out there providing services every day. And we have a great communications team, but sometimes those of us in leadership positions don't help facilitate for our communications team to be able to really tell the story of the fantastic work our employees are doing. Fortunately, our survey seems that we've been almost 30 years on our employees, or our resident survey, opinion survey. 97% love living in Sarasota County, and that's a testament to the four municipalities as well as our constitutionals. But the one that bothers me, we do a great job with responding to people and treating them with respect. I think we're at 96% on that. But they talk about timeliness, and we're only at about 86% of people responded that we were where they thought we should be on timeliness. I really believe that from a staffing standpoint, that really has to do with how we in leadership adjust and make sure they have the right resources in a conservative way, because none of the four of us like to add resources or costs to our local government that we don't need to or doesn't provide value. But sometimes I think certainly at the county, we could do a little bit better job of getting the right people where they need to be ahead of time from an increased staffing perspective or a different type of staffing model to deal with that timeliness. Because, just like Ed was talking about, we'll top 50,000 building inspections this year, 3,000 new home permits most likely, which is the most ever in the county's history. The libraries are at an all-time volume, the 10 libraries, and just across the county. And you don't even begin to talk about COVID response and those types of things where we pull county employees from all over the place just to not do their normal job, but to work on things related to COVID or CARES Act or any of the other things related to it. So I think sometimes we could do a better job of making sure that our employees who are on the front line get better presented, and that their successes and the hard work they're doing gets touted, because they are. But we also need to make sure we're giving them the rest of the teammates they need to help fulfill their duties.
Excellent. All right, so by the way, it's 12:45, so anyone who has any questions, please start making your way to the microphones, and we'll get to you. Jonathan, this is kind of a preview for next year, is we've got a surtax issue coming up. So I'm going to give you a little bit of space here to explain to everybody, basically, what are we looking at? What is it for? What's the timing on it? How is the money going to flow if it does pass? I'm going to give you the floor to play professor a little bit. So let's talk surtax, and then I'll.
Thanks. And any of these other three could do the same information. To me, this is the most important resource we have from a revenue perspective here in Sarasota County. It's called a surtax. It's the seventh penny we all pay on sales tax. Unfortunately, a very significant portion of that is paid by people from outside of Sarasota County when they come here to visit, which provides us the roads and the water and sewer, water quality projects, the libraries. In some of the cities, it provides the police departments. This next time expires, so we're going out for, I believe our board will put it out for a general election in November of 22. And this will be everybody in the county voting on this, unincorporated and the people in the municipalities. And when it comes to the type of revenue, you're talking almost $2 billion over a 15-year period that will be split between the school district. They get 25% right off the top. And then the remaining 75% is split by the 4 municipalities in the county based on population. And again, you look around the county, so many of our projects on the unincorporated side, whether it's the new libraries that you've seen or enhanced libraries, Honore Road getting done, other locations throughout the county getting done. A lot of our parks have been funded through it. But we take 50% right off the top and invest it in our transportation network. And so we have a long range plan on what that transportation network looks like. But sometimes it's just getting redone a road that already exists in a way that matters with, I don't know, 450 million or so in the next 15 years if it gets renewed, coming from people who don't live here in Sarasota County, being used as an investment here in Sarasota County. So again, to me, Morgan, it's the most important type of source of revenue we have because the residents of Sarasota County vote on it. We have a portal out there. The cities have been absolutely fantastic in the school district. We've all agreed we've got one portal site. Anybody can go online and they can see exactly how surtax 3, which is the one we're going to be finishing up, the money was spent. You can see it by city. You can see it by the type of project, exactly where the money went and how much went where, to help people make a decision on whether they think this is an important resource to keep our quality of life up here in Sarasota County.
Not to put you on the spot, do you remember the portal's website address?
Really easy to get to. If you go to the county's website or the municipality's website, so in our case, scgov.com.
Got it.
It's on the main page. It's right there in the front. We use an info bar for searching, so you just type in surtax if you want to, but it's right there on the main page. It's one of the biggest focuses our team at the county is working on.
Perfect. Do you three want to add to that? I see we got some questions here. Got a lot of questions. Anybody else want to add to the surtax conversation? Looking forward to it. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
big supporter. I mean, it's a big thing for Longboat Key. We use a lot of the funds towards public safety, and it would be a significant impact if it didn't pass.
Marlon, can we get more roundabouts out of it?
See, for Venice,
all I care about.
we are just 6% of the county's population, so we need every nickel we can get for capital projects. The ones that I had mentioned that we have cut the ribbons on or in process of doing, virtually all of those benefited in part from the surtax, the one that's in effect right now. And because we are so small, proportionately, that recession that I've referenced earlier, we eroded and compromised a lot of our municipal budget to give away the big things we just couldn't afford. Most of those are capital projects. So we've been working to try to put capital funds back in the operating budget, which is a big challenge for a small budget. So we have relied considerably on that surtax, and basically that's been our capital improvement revenue. So the city of Venice really does need that to pass for all these projects that I've mentioned and similar ones like that for the future. We will continue to use that as a prominent feature of our capital improvement plan in our budget process.
So Morgan, we are not putting any roundabouts because we want the surtax to pass, so no roundabouts will be on our list.
All right, Mayor Sheelan, your question.
Well, they were first.
They were first, I'm sorry.
Yes.
State your name and ask your question and who it's
Thank
to.
you. My name is Mary Daly. I'm a resident of Laurel Park. I have a rainbow and a cloud. My rainbow is I'm thrilled that the Legacy Trail is almost in my neighborhood. My cloud is the symphony moving there. Our park was intended to be a park for all citizens and not to be built in. And I wanted to know why we're considering that after it was voted down 2 years ago.
I think, Marlon, that's for you.
I know, I wonder. So again, just as you probably are aware, the City Commission just recently resurrected that discussion. It was obviously a 4-to-1 vote that the city consider or have discussions with the orchestra of in or around Payne Park. And so the commission made that policy decision. They vested myself and the mayor to have conversations with the Sarasota Orchestra on that directive, and that's what we are doing right now. Once we have a definitive response from the orchestra in terms of their interest, we'll report back to the city commission. But again, that was the directive of the city commission.
Thank you.
Mayor Sheelan?
Thank you. Ken Sheelan, Tiger member. And my question is about the orchestra too, Marlon. Is there anything hopeful that you can tell us about retention of the orchestra downtown?
Sure. And so Ken, again, you know, both the mayor and myself will be meeting with Joe McKenna and obviously someone from his board. We actually trying to set up a meeting for next week. There were some losses in the orchestra family that sort of delayed their board having a meeting. And so Mr. McKenna reached out to me at that time and said, hey, you know, Marlon, get back to me by the end of August or early September. I have since reached out to him, so we're trying to schedule something for next week to see where we are with a decision on their part. Again, the music is in the hands of the orchestra in terms of letting us know their interest of being in or around Payne Park, and it's my responsibility as well as the mayor's to report back to the commission so they can make an informed decision about the orchestra. So I recently saw your email about leadership on the city commission. That leadership is vested within myself and the mayor to meet up with the orchestra. But all due respect to the orchestra, because of the losses within their family, we are giving them some time to get back together and then have a discussion on their part.
Well, you know, our concern is that they may take 10 or 12 additional musical organizations with them if they leave downtown, because they're planning a music center which is designed to serve not only the orchestra, but about 10 or 12 other musical organizations. So,
Yeah, and again, in our discussions, and again, for those of you who know Mary Bensel, Cheryl Melderson, know Joe McKenna, they've had conversations about those types of organizations. Those organizations do not use the Van Wezel Performing Arts Hall. And so again, from Ms. Benzel's point of view, it will not really impact, our season, the resources we get from hosting any of those types of organizations, because we do not. And so we're not concerned about, obviously, who will be performing at their music center unless they start to now pillage, other types of performances from the Van Wezel or the Future Performing Arts Center.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir. State your name and who your question's to.
Yes, my name is Steve Scott, And I live in Sarasota, across the street from the Quay. And they're building a new high-rise condo there. And the sign says, starting in the 2 millions. And my question is, when is the city of Sarasota and also the county going to start building more affordable housing to equal all the luxury condos we have? And I want to define affordable housing as housing for people who make less than the median income, which is somewhere around 60,000, for people like the people who just served us lunch here today. That's my question. Thank you.
Great question. You know, both the city and Jonathan can obviously speak to this. Both the city and county do have affordable housing as one of their top priorities. We understand that this, you know, we should be a community that serve all income levels, and we have partnered with the Sarasota Housing Authority to provide a number of affordable units that will be coming shortly. They're building, you know, upwards of almost 400 units of affordable housing to meet all income levels. On top of that, we have a program together with Sarasota County. It's about $1.5 million, and I understand that might be a drop in the bucket, where we are looking at vacant lands that the city owns that we have set aside for affordable housing. And we are partnering with a number of nonprofit institutions to build single-family affordable housing on those lots. As well as recently, and Steve Cover, our plan director, may be here, I don't know if he's left, but recently the city adopted what they call the Rosemary Residential District Overlay. And within that plan, any developer that wants to get a certain number of units or certain level of density have to include affordable housing at different income levels within that structure. So we take affordable housing, we adopted what we call the Blueprint for Affordable Housing that has 12 recommendations. Both the city and county paid for that document, and we are slowly implementing all aspects of that affordable housing plan. So great question. We consider ourselves a community for all. We try to accommodate all income levels, and you know, with the county, I think we're making a lot of progress on the affordable housing front.
Tom, they're not asking you about affordable housing. Now, when is Longbow going to start building? I want my waterfront condo. I'm looking at you, Tom. All right, Jonathan, what does the county do?
Thank you.
Add for
Yeah.
affordable housing?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. Everything Marlon said is dead on. We've had a lot of cooperation with the city over the past 3 or 4 years. My board really made a very, very hard push for how the county could interact as it related to affordable housing when I became the county administrator, and we've done a variety of things because we don't build housing. It's not what we do. And we want to focus on doing things that are within our wheelhouse, but we went through a whole series of ordinances and code changes to incentivize affordable housing units to be built. Whether it had to do with half dwelling units, it had to do with creating mechanisms where utilities could be connected at those places without the full capacity fee, depending on the size of the unit. There's a whole variety of ordinance changes that went in place. And then to put our money where our mouth is, the county has taken 2 of its facilities, pieces of land, and put them out in the market to create some synergy around somebody else taking over those properties and building affordable housing. Like you said, at 80% or lower, my board's been pretty clear on the one that's in the city. They want a minimum of 96 units on that property, and we're still working on another one at MLK and Tuttle. So, you know, my board has taken a lot of action on this over the past 3 years. And I think some of these things take a while, but I think in the coming couple of years, you'll see a lot of reward out of that.
Interesting. I thought I saw Mr. Brill. Mr. Brill.
Hi, Jack Brill, a Tiger Bay member. Tom, I owe you and your wife dinner for both mentioning Taffy, our dog, and our love of roundabouts. So, on a serious note, when you listen to the conversations that are going on and all the things that are going on in Sarasota County and the cities, we are very fortunate to have this level of administrators and managers from all levels in the county. And I would just like to give all these folks and Jonathan on the screen a round of applause and thank them for everything they're doing for us.
That's it? Where's the zinger? You don't want to ask about surtax? Nothing? Okay, yes, ma'am. This is like this is a red letter day. I don't know if like the world is spinning on its axis anymore. It's like if Dan Lobeck didn't ask a question that had a zinger. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Barbara Richards, Tiger Bay member. I wanted to make you all aware of a temporary housing need, if you're not aware of it already, and that is for individuals with the disease of addiction who have COVID. They're being let go from some of the shelters in the city, and when they have to leave, they either have to go to the street, or if they can find a place to shelter, they're isolated, which for an individual with a disease is deadly. So we really need some kind of temporary housing for individuals in that situation, and if you can investigate this and educate yourselves about it, you'll be able to save lives.
We'll turn it into a quick question. Does anybody have any idea? I know this is a little unfair since you just heard it 10 seconds ago, but any ideas as to what someone in that situation might be able to do? And if you don't, that's fine, but
So I would say, give us an opportunity to look into it. Obviously, we don't want anyone being on the streets. We have what we call a homeless outreach team that provides services or that tries to help individuals find accommodation. So if I can get your name and contact information, we will follow up with you and see how we can assist these individuals. We understand the situation. We know COVID is a concern to everyone, and the ability to quarantine if they are being evicted from temporary or emergency shelter. We'll see what we can do to help them.
Thank you so much, and a possibility is
And Morgan?
yes, sir.
a hotel, a designated hotel with some support.
Okay, Jonathan?
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, great. So I just wanted to add to that. I will say that the Health and Human Services Department of the county has been looking at that issue. Chuck Henry, who's also the Director of Health for the state here in Sarasota County, heads that up for us. Work very closely with the not-for-profits. There may be other ones that don't fall into that circle, but definitely works with them to try and get information from them ahead of time. So where we have the ability to put them in temporary housing, we've worked with local hotels, local people who rent their properties to try and deal with some of that. So it doesn't mean we can't do more, but I can tell you the Health and Human Services folks have definitely been working.
Excellent. All right, well, we are 1:05. Unless anyone has anything to add, I'm going to make Ed a promise that we are not going to wait 9 years to have you here again. Didn't realize it'd been that long. My apologies. I echo Jack's comments. Every time I see these guys up close and personal, I realize how lucky we are, and we've had a history of it. I see John Wesley White in the back. We've had a history of really great administrators. So round of applause for our panel, and we'll see you guys in a month.
Good job, good job. Hey, good job, Morgan.
What I meant to say is I've been here every year for 9 years downtown.
Oh. As you get older, you forget like how long you've been.
Yeah, well, because we got by COVID, we missed the year at least.